Today we're going to talk a little bit about intensive therapies. That word itself is pretty strong, but we'll meet a few autism moms and hear their stories about how these intensive therapies actually help their children make a lot of progress in a short amount of time. And I think that should be the goal of any effective treatment program.
Andy, I get really excited when I think about intensive therapy. It doesn't scare me because I have seen with Tristan so much success when we have hit it hard. It's been intense. For example, when we needed to make up some developmental delays, for example, potty training. He didn't potty train until he was 6, and we were able to hit that hard, and we were potty trained in 5 days. And we haven't looked back. I mean, when I say intense, we were in the potty 5 minutes, out of the potty 5 minutes. It was an intense amount of data we were taking, but look at what the outcome was.
When did you start ABA with him?
When he was 3.
And how old is he now?
12.
So,
And another example of intense therapy that was a huge hit for us was he had severe oral aversion, so it was more sensory versus. We did the test with the GI and things, and it wasn't that. It was just that he couldn't tolerate different textures in his mouth, temperatures, and so he'd only drink from a Dr. Brown bottle until he was 6 years old. 6 years old, and I'm still washing Dr. Brown bottles to put Pediasure in there to keep him hydrated and his nutrition. The doctors wanted to do a feeding tube because by this point we're looking at his percentile on weight and growth, and he was in the deficit there. So we did some research, and our awesome Candice told us about Kennedy Krieger Institute, part of Johns Hopkins in Baltimore, and they do an intensive 15-week feeding clinic. We went in, I kid you not, and we'd been working with a speech therapist who is amazing and who is really, I feel like it all happened at the right time. But behaviors were setting in, and we needed to hit this hard because he was getting so comfortable with just, hey, I drink from a baby bottle. That's all I have. And we knew that if we kept going at a few hours a week with our speech therapist, with our OT, it just wasn't getting us to where we needed to change that behavior within him. So we packed our bags, and off we went to Baltimore, and we stayed at the Ronald McDonald House there. Tristan and I were not allowed to come home for 15 weeks. My husband would fly out at the weekend. It was a huge strain on our family. My parents flew in from England to watch my dogs because I didn't want them to think that, I'd abandoned them. So anyway, we go there. We had to be at clinic at 8:15 in the morning. Every single day we'd get weighed. Well, he would get weighed, thankfully, not me. And we'd go check into speech. Speech would finish. We'd go to OT. OT would finish. All this was monitored by the ABA therapist there. We went in. Are you ready for this? We went in just drinking from a Dr. Brown bottle. 15 weeks of intense daily therapy. We didn't leave the clinic until 5 p.m. every day after he'd had his dinner. So all 3 meals were there. We left him eating a cheeseburger.
That's
like
crazy.
A full-blown meal.
That is amazing.
And it could have taken years us doing it slowly. And some things we do need to do at a sort of more gradual speed, but for changing that behavior, I don't believe we'd be where we are. And I think the other thing is when you have different disciplines and different therapists in your home, or the hours that you're trying to, that they're suggesting and you're having, I think it also helps with the whole family dynamics, because at some point, mom might not be home or dad might not be home, but a sibling's home, and the therapist, an adult sibling, obviously, but they're able to see, like, oh, hey, this is how I can actually reach my sibling and really have a meaningful relationship, because I'm seeing him having that fun with his therapist.
In our case, because Brooke's 19 now, and she's been doing ABA therapy for a while, we have less hours because she goes to school, but she still has a significant amount considering her age and the amount of hours she goes to school, of course pre-COVID. But we were able to actually get more hours because during COVID. Our BCBA advocated for the fact that there could be these skills that we're going to lose, and if we can't keep up, and because she's not getting anything from the school system at that point, we really couldn't access remote learning. Very, very difficult for her. So we got more hours, and that was a godsend. Yeah, I mean, when I realized that Brooke had a lot of different things to work on early on, and ABA could help with all of these things, was my search. I knew it had to be intensive. I mean, there's studies that say intensive. The younger, that's why there's early intervention. The brain is malleable, so we need to work on things, and we could work on a number of things at the same time. And I felt like I needed this and be ready for school.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted her to have access her public school system. Because I'm looking at her at age 2.5 going, I can't get her to sit still for more than 10 seconds. I remember taking my kitchen table and turning around all of the chairs, all 6, and placing a toy on each one, just so she could have a variety, because she kept moving. And that was a little bit of an organized way for me to get her to play. And I'm looking at her going, how is she going to sit in even just preschool or kindergarten for 5 or 10 minutes, or be able to attend in circle time? And I thought, okay, we're gonna hit it hard, and it paid off, because she was able to go to school, she was able to sit in circle time, and yeah, she still needed an aide, and the aide sometimes had to kind of redirect her, but she was enjoying and she was participating. And so, you know, those 2.5 years of intensive, we worked on school readiness, functional, just, she had to communicate with her aide. She had to, you know, tell somebody when she had to go to the washroom when she wasn't at home. She had to ask for these basic things in life. So we worked on functional communication. We worked on being able to attend, sit, and in a little bit of a structured environment, although kindergarten is obviously should be a little less structured, but it paid off, and I knew that's what we needed to do for those first few years.
Yeah, we didn't know what to do. We were aging gracefully out of early intervention. And I knew I had a little guy who, very much like Brooke, couldn't sit and attend. He couldn't do circle time. And we were just, you know, this is just Nico. This is just what he does. And we all just have to live around it. And so for 3 years, we lived around Nico. We didn't force him to do anything, really, because it was all about not wanting to make him upset and making him happy, and, you know, all those wonderful things you want for your kid, right? So school and ABA came as a package deal for us.
Nice.
We started ABA in January, so Nico was 3 months shy of becoming 3, so a little bit before 3 started. And school started in March. So we had these couple months of ABA before we went into school, and so those two things always went very hand in hand for us. And of course it helped, those 2 months that we had helped Nico, I think, understand what was coming, because I think if we just threw him into a school setting, he wouldn't have been prepared for it at all. He wouldn't have understand what his teachers are asking him to do. And that was a lot of what we first started with Nico, is just like understanding what people are asking of you. So we've taken a very collaborative approach with our teams.
I was going to ask how you got that collaboration going.
We have a really beautiful preschool teacher in my son's school district. She's also a mom of a special needs child. She also has a terminally ill child. So you want to talk about someone who just understands people's struggles in general and just wants what's best for your child and those outcomes. I was really
and genuinely invested.
Yes. I've had many sit downs with the teacher, and I feel a personal connection with her as well. But they've just been very open to what's been successful. So recently I called an IEP meeting to update, since we haven't had kind of a sit down together since school closed due to COVID, and I invited my BCBAs. I have 2. Well, one, just passed our board. So yes, now we have 2 BCBAs. I invited them to be on the IEP meeting. It was via Zoom, but now we're using
And the school wrapped their,
all the therapists were on, and they were asking the BCBAs, and there was open conversation about what's working at home, what's working at school, and so now there's consistency between the two. And so Nico, I always get these reports now, like he's doing so well at school because they're using the same reward system that they're using at home. The same expectations are back and forth. So it just makes a very clear playing field for him.
that's wonderful. I'm always so surprised why schools don't ask more of that. Like, wouldn't your life just be easier knowing that there's another professional that's going to just help you understand this child even more and understand how they use what they're learning at school at home and vice versa? And the outcomes just couldn't be any better if you just work with the other professionals in their life, right?
Absolutely.
I just don't understand.
Absolutely. And the thought of doing something intensive was, for me, extremely overwhelming. We're a family of 5, 3 kids. Nico's a twin, so there's twin 4-year-olds and a 6-year-old, and it seemed extremely overwhelming when we heard how many hours he got approved for, because we were 35 straight off the bat. And I did feel like we were drowning at a point. How do we balance all of this? How do we make it fair and all that good stuff? But I'm so happy we did it, because I think the outcome is so much better for this kid, and he's, just killing those goals that they set for him. Now he's got goals I kind of never thought that he would be able to do, and he's doing them.
I've had so many of those moments. I never thought we could get there. I never thought we could check that box. When I
We
looked
saw
at
some family this summer we hadn't seen since probably a year. We went back and saw some of our extended family, and the comments that we got about like Nico's progression just really reinforced to me that we did the right thing. They kept using the terminology, he's so much better. I know they don't mean like he's better,
you needed
physically
to
better.
fix it, but
yes.
yeah.
But like he's so much better,
His struggles are less.
His struggles are less. He could ask us for things, he could interact, and so it was nice to see that, because sometimes I think as parents we don't give ourselves enough like pat on the back, like you're doing a great job, like you were killing this today. We don't see that, but when other people see it in your child, or see the hard work, because not only is it us doing hard work, but he's doing a lot of hard work. Brooke has done a lot of hard work.
They really.
So it's so nice to hear when people see like.
Well, because as
paying
moms
off.
and as parents, we always have the next goal, right? Of course we do, because we always want, all moms want the most and the best for their child.
Right.
And they want them to excel in everything. And so you're always thinking about that next goal, which doesn't allow you to sit back and look at what's really happening now, and you're there every day. So you don't see it, right? Until you have to step back and reassess, and wow,
Yeah, we've come a long way, right?
Yeah.
Yep.